Welcome back to the Self-Esteem and Confidence Mindset podcast of me, Johnny Pardo. And today I welcome my special guest, Randy, onto the show. And I'm looking forward to talking about Randy's latest book and his reason for writing this book and some of the messages within this book today. And we're going to be talking about that in detail. So I'm just going to quickly introduce Randy, and then I'm looking forward to diving into the conversation. So Randy began his academic journey in Brewston, Tennessee, completing all 12 years in the Hollow Rock School District. He later attended Jackson State Community College and Motlow State Community College. Eventually, Randy joined DuPont, where he dedicated 31 years of service before retiring in 2021 at the age of 57. So welcome to the show today, Randy. I'm glad to have you on. So be great, first of all, to hear a little bit about what your latest book is called and your reason for writing it.
Hi, Johnny. Good to meet you, Johnny. My name's Randy Cooper, and I have written my first book, Chosen. And Chosen is really, it's really a story about my personal life. Well, from the time I was born until all the way up to where I'm at right now. But anyway, Johnny, I had a lot of seems like I had a lot of trauma in my life. Actually, start from a kid until on up through adulthood, and it seemed to be like one major thing right after another. And I started asking myself, I said, this seems like this is just, I wasn't for sure that it was really the norm that everybody has, because it just seemed like it never let up. The trauma, the trials, the tribulations, they never let up. um, it just seemed like I was going through one after another, and they all seem to be pretty serious problems in my book. And but anyway, I just thought, I just don't think this is really normal. And I think I got to thinking, how can I get my story out there? And so I just decided, hey, I'm going to write a book and put some of my trials and tribulations in there, and try to show the people exactly what I did to come out of those trials and tribulations. And so I just decided, hey, I'm going to write a book. So at 61, I wrote a book, and everything seems to have turned out real good, and the book is getting really good reviews right now, and especially from all the people around in my hometown. Um, Everything's going real good. So, but anyway, that's sort of the reason why that I decided to write a book. And I might add, I'm very glad that I did, brother.
Oh, amazing. No, that's great to get your first book out there. And how did you find that process of writing a book for the first time? Was it
Um,
how did you find writing a book for the first time?
well, it was a journey. Actually, Johnny, the way it really happened, about about 10 months to a year ago, I don't know. I had a spiritual awakening. I had a spiritual awakening. God came into my life. Well, actually, God has been in my life a long time. I've been a Christian for a long time, but it was something different had happened. God came into my life, and God started using me. He started using me in a way that he had never used me before. But anyway, so Johnny, the way this all started out was, God led me to put some spiritual videos out on TikTok and Facebook. And I've I've been around the block a couple of times in my life, and I just could not believe that God was directing me to put out some spiritual videos online. But anyway, I didn't ask any questions, and that's what I did. So I started putting out videos online, uh, with a spiritual theme to it, and they really picked up well. And anyway, some guys in New York City, ran across these. They were from Orbit Book Writers, and some of the guys that I've met through, which are now my friends, more like family, is Isaac, Jeffrey, Carter, and Daniel. They picked up on my story in New York, and anyway, we started talking back and forth, and they thought that my story would be a perfect candidate for a storyline to a book. And so anyway, got in connections with these guys, and the rest is history because my first book came out about a month ago, and that's sort of how the way that all took place.
I love that. So it was almost like you felt so I'm understanding you felt called from God to just share your message on some videos.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And once I quit fighting it and gave in to God, what God was asking for me, started putting them out. I think I think put out. I think it was about 12, and I still put out. We still put out one through God temporarily. Every every month or so, we'll put something out. But anyway, that's how it got. That's how it got started, and those guys came across my stories, and anyway, we're here talking about my first book now, so it all turned out great.
That's amazing. I love how you got that. We all have these different like insights and things, but I love the way you felt some kind of guidance or intuition, because we can get very caught in the mind, right, and like what we should be doing. But for you, it sounded like something hit you. You need to get your message out there, and that's exactly what you did, and it's led to a book as a result of that. I love that.
That's it. That's exactly right, Johnny. And I'll tell you, when God came into my, like I said earlier, I've been a Christian and I've been a man of God for a long time, but God came in. I was doing things that I had no business doing. I was doing things that I wasn't proud of. Um, I had a drug problem, um, which I don't anymore. Thank you, God, I don't anymore. But anyway, my life was really spiraling out of control, Johnny. And, you know, I knew God was still in control. But when I really dug deep and asked God God, I need your help. And once I really called on God, God was there the whole time. He was just waiting for me to call on him. And once I called on him, um, my life has just my life has turned around. My life has changed so much for the better. Um, so anybody out there might be hearing this. If you don't have God in your life, give God a try because God will come. He's already in your life. But when you really call on God and you really start walking the walk, that's when God is going to come in and bless you like never before. And that's what God has done for me now. Through my spiritual awakening, God has really opened my eyes up, and I've got my eye on the prize now, and the prize is God and living for the Lord. But anyway, Johnny, that's sort of the spiritual path that has taken me to getting to my first book.
Oh, amazing. And love, yeah, very inspiring. How it's kind of that, yeah, like I say, there's some kind of like source or something you felt like called and it's led you to this. Randy, I wonder if you'd be able to touch a little bit on in the book. You mentioned that you've been through some like traumas in your life, some challenges. I wonder if you'd be open to sharing maybe some of those challenges that you had gone through in your life that you talk about in the book.
Yeah, well, the main challenge, the main topic, the main challenge that I have to say this is it's been through my kids, Johnny. I've always been so close to my kids. I have two daughters. Um, my kids have always been my life since the day they were born. But Johnny, I'm telling you, I don't know what happened over the years, but where I was so close to my kids, and my kids are still my life, but my kids have drifted away. They've drifted away, and we don't we don't really have much contact anymore, and that's just heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. I've got two granddaughters and two daughters, but anyway, I saw myself growing older with a stable family around me, with my kids, my grandkids, a wife, and um, that has been the biggest challenge, I have to say, through my adulthood, knowing that my family has sort of drifted away from me, and I'm working on it so hard to try to bring my family back together. And I see progress in it, but this has been the biggest obstacle for me in my adult life, is my family drifting away from me. That's been the biggest challenge, Johnny, I have to say.
No, thank you for sharing that. And I know in the book you probably touched on that story in a bit more depth. In terms of like the heartbreak you mentioned and just like dealing with that, what has there been anything that's helped you with working through the heartbreak?
Well, Johnny, I'll tell you, all of us have heartbreak in our life, but
Mm,
um, what I have to say that has helped me, that is, well, really, that has allowed me to get through my heartbreak, is my faith in God.
mm,
Uh, God has always been there beside of me, but when I started losing my family. Um, I really had to lean deep on God. God was with me the whole time, and the heartbreak was so strong. I really believe without God beside of me the whole time, I'm really not for sure that I would have made it through, John. So I have to say that calling on God and knowing that He was beside me through this whole journey is really what's helped me to persevere through this whole journey.
mm. Okay, so like you've been able to connect. Would you say being able to connect more with your heart when you've connected to God a little bit?
Yeah. Johnny, what I did once I got to this point, I got to a point in my life where it's sad to say, I got to a point in the road. I don't know if it came, I don't know if God let me know through a dream, through it happened at a time where I was under anesthesia having some tests. I'm not sure that I saw it in a test through anesthesia, but anyway, I got to a point in my life, Johnny. I was so down, and most of it was on account of my family. Um, Johnny, I got to a point where it was like I was going down a path, and the path split, and the path to the right said death, and the path to the left said life. And I remember taking the path to the left. Like I
Mm,
said, I don't know if it was through a dream. I don't. I think it was through a dream, but God let me know. He gave me a choice right there which way I wanted to go, and I chose life. And once I chose life, I had to dig deep because I knew I had to heal myself. So what I did for about a 6 month period, I isolated myself. I'm retired, so I didn't have to go to work. So I did, it was easier to isolate myself that I didn't have to go to a job every day. But Johnny, I isolated myself for about 6 months. I had no social life. I really had much of life at all for about 6 months. But what I was doing, I was healing. I knew I had to heal myself if I were ever going to progress and start to elevate again in life. So that's what I did. I I stayed by myself in my house. I got a pool table here. I shot a lot of pool by myself, worked out, and I healed myself from the inside out because I decided that I was not going to let this trauma to be what I was about. I don't want to be associated with trauma. I want to be associated with some as somebody that was able to overcome their trauma. So after I healed myself, it was a long, lonely process, but went toward the end of my 6 months isolation journey, I felt myself get stronger physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And anyway, I spent a lot of long hours here by myself and God. God was here with me the whole time. But anyway, Johnny, I feel like that I'm healed now through my trauma, and God was beside me the whole way. And that's really what it took for me to get back on my feet and start progressing again in life.
Mm. That's a lot of courage, Randy, to isolate yourself and be away from everyone because day to day there's all kinds of distractions and things we could use, and that could take us away from that healing, right? But
That's right.
you did the work. You stayed with yourself in isolation, away from people. So, like, what helped you to heal? Was it like that you were more connected to yourself in that isolation, or was it something else?
Yeah, you hit it right on the head, Johnny. Through this healing, like I said, I got stronger in every aspect of my life. And once I don't know if it was a 6 month period. I don't know if that's what the Lord called me, or I don't know about the length of it, but 6 months is what it was for me. But Johnny, I feel now that I have healed myself through isolation and talking and being with God those 6 months, I I truly feel like I'm a new person now, and I feel stronger than I've ever felt in my life.
Hmm. No, just you and God. That no like therapists or no coaches or anything like that. Just you and God.
No, just me and
Okay.
God.
Just curious. Oh,
Just me and
amazing.
God. It was a lonely, tough 6 months, but looking back on it now, I'm so glad that I chose to take that path, and I feel like that my life is really turning around for the better now.
And how did you feel at the start of the process, Randy? Were you like, oh, I've got to get out of here. I can't deal with this. Was it a hard process? How did it go?
I was broken, Johnny. I was broken. My health had left me. Um, my health had left me at one time. Now, I'm not I'm not complaining about this, but at one time I had prostate cancer, a torn Achilles, and COVID all at the same time.
Wow.
And I have to say, Johnny, I wasn't really for sure that I was going to survive it. I done told my daughters that I wasn't for sure that I was going to survive this, girls. But anyway, going through, I went through this sickness in isolation also. Um, so I had a lot of time to reflect on my life, why things are the way they are, and who was with me the whole time that I was in isolation and sick and really didn't know if I was going to survive. Anyway, I had friends that helped from time to time, but when you get right down to it, it was just me and God. And I knew the whole time that God was with me. I felt him in those long hours here at the house by myself. Those long summer days seemed like they went forever. I didn't think they were ever going to end. Had a cast on my leg, catheter, and COVID came in up right on the tail end of that. But anyway, after those long hours in isolation with nobody but you and God, it really makes a man wake up and see what's important and who's really with you all the time. You know, in the physical, um, in the physical, friends, family, you know, they come and go, but when you get right down to it, God's going to be there with you through thick and thin. He's not going to leave you. So anyways, God and God only is the one that has helped me through my journey and got me to the point I am now with my first book, Chosen.
Mm, yeah, amazing. When you were communicating with yourself and God in those times, did you find there was an effective way for you to do that communication? Was there some journaling? Was there speaking out loud? I'd just be curious to hear how you communicated to yourself and God.
Well, um, as we all know, you communicate with God through your prayers, but God has his way to communicate to you also. Anyway, God communicates. I can talk to God right now, but Johnny, this is personal, and God communicates to everybody through different ways. And I think I'll just keep the way God communicates with me. It's a private, personal thing, but God does communicate with me, and every day, and I communicate with God through prayer. So I think that's probably the answer to your question.
Oh, yeah, so I like the way you said it's sort of like can be personal to us individually, and yeah, you got a certain. Sounds like it's a never-ending process either. You're always going to be communicating to God. It's not like you're in this situation and He helped you out and God helped you out of it. It was more you were just in a it's an ongoing relationship that you're always going to have.
Oh, it is. It is. You hit it right on the head. It's an ongoing relationship. I'm not going to leave God, and God's for sure not going to leave me. I just I'm at a place of peace with God, and the only way to experience that peace really is to accept God into your life, be saved, and then when people can do that, that's when they can find the peace that I have.
How did you know? This might be a difficult one to answer. We're going to ask it anyway. How did you know when you were healed? You mentioned about healing, and it was over a 6 month period. At what point did you know you were healed and you could come out of isolation?
Well, it started getting to where it wasn't just healing, like wasn't physically, emotionally. I started changing. I started changing stuff that used to bother me, stuff that used to trigger me, didn't trigger
Mm,
me anymore. Um, and a lot of people that you come in connection with in life, um, it's bad that it's like this, but some people just want to they want to trigger you. They want to get some kind of rise. They want to get some kind of, some kind of a rise out of you. And I saw that, and there was a lot of people just trying to trigger me everywhere I went. But anyway, I saw that I had to heal on that, and I felt myself healing. Things that used to really bother me started not bothering me anymore, and that were in my life that wasn't bringing me satisfaction, or I knew that didn't need to be in my life. I started cutting people. I started letting them go. People that I love, friends, people that didn't have my highest interest in mind, I got them out of my life. I through God, I took them out of my life. But I knew that if I was ever going to start going forward in life, elevating, that I had to get the things out of my life that wasn't for my self interest, for myself best interest anymore. So I started removing those things from my life. And once I did, it was hard. It was hard. I had to remove 40-year friends. I had to remove immediate family. But I saw that I realized through my healing that, you know, if I was going to be my best person, then I had to get everything out of my life that didn't speak for my best interest. So that's what I did, no matter how long. no matter how long I'd been friends, family, whatever. That's what I did. So it was a very hard thing. I had to remove some people from my life that I just tore my heart out to do it. But I realized through my isolation and healing that that was what I was going to have to do if I was ever going to move forward. So that's what I did. I removed everything out of my life. I got in church. Well, I'd always been in church, but I wasn't really living for the Lord like I should have been. But I feel like I am now. But um, so the answer to your question is started feeling so much stronger in every aspect of my life. I found a new circle of friends. Got rid of ones that didn't need to be around anymore. Got rid of the problems that was in my life that I brought on myself. And once I started doing that, um, I really got to the point where I knew I knew I was healed. I'm probably still not healed all the way, but
Mm,
I'm
sure.
going to say I'm 90% from where I started out. But anyway, I just have to say I feel good. I feel good all over now, and I truly know that I'm healed.
I like what you said early on about like the triggers not getting to you, like and that being something like things that have previously trigger you, no longer doing that. And then it sounds like you had a lot of insights and guidance saying, no, you must take that away from your life. You must uh, get away from that situation or that group. And it sounds like yeah, after you did that isolation, those are the things that came up for you. So, yeah, that's some great insight now in terms of your healing journey there.
Yeah, I have to say, Johnny, the Lord let me know He was crystal clear on some of the things that I needed to get out of my life.
Mm,
I really knew what they were, but for some reasons of the heart, it's hard to get rid of people that had been with you this whole time, even though you always really knew that they wasn't behind you 100%. But still, it's where I had to dig deep down, and really find courage to get rid of these people that had been in my life my whole life. And I have to say that was one of the hardest challenges, to get rid of people that you thought loved you, but they really didn't love you as much as you thought. So anyway, I had to purge them from my life, and now I've got a new circle of friends, and everything seems to be going great.
it's awesome. So, Randy, obviously, there's even more into your story in your book. Um, Before we sort of like wrap up today, could you tell us where the listener can find your book? Um, if they want to, they want to read it, they want to dive more into your work. And is there anything you'd like to leave us with today in terms of a final point?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, if anybody out there would like or interested in the book, you can get it through Amazon, Apple. I can't. I can't. I've got a list here of all the Barnes and
Sh-
Nobles. Anyway, all the through any of the major book publishers, you could get it. But
Sure.
most people seem to be buying the book through Amazon. Just Randy L. Cooper chosen in Amazon, and hey, you can have one on your way in 15 minutes. But anyway, I'm sorry, Johnny. What was the second part of your question?
No, that's great. With the book, I was just saying, is there any final point you wanted to leave us with today?
Yeah. Well, there's a couple. Well, I'd like to say that we're so happy that we're having our first podcast today with you, and we're also having you can get the book through audio book through Amazon and Kindle. We can also go Kindle with it. But anyway, yeah, the book has turned out real good, and everything seems to be going so anybody out there would like to get a copy of Chosen, just check out Amazon out, and hey, you can probably have a copy before the end of the week.
Amazing. No, thank you, Randy. And for the listener, you can find the links to Randy's book in the show notes below this episode as well. So, Randy, a massive thank you for coming on today, all the work you're doing, and for sharing your story.
Oh yeah, hey, it's great. It's great. Glad to be here, Johnny.
Thank you. So, that concludes our episode for today. And remember to lead with your heart and not with fear.